everyone, thank you so much for tuning in for our last and final and amazing presentation for you today. I am so excited to introduce the most amazing Dr. Sandra Michael. And if you can see her here, you will see that she is sitting amongst these screens. What are these screens? They are broadcasting bioscalar energy. So this is an amazing tool for us on the planet right now and for healing lots of things, dealing with Fukushima, dealing with 5G, dealing with EMF radiation. I invite you for the whole way through of this 1 hour with us to breathe into your body, to breathe in this energy, to allow this energy to come into your body and feel how that feels. I don't know about you, but I've been getting goosebumps, what I call truth bumps, and feeling an amazing energy flow through my body, a beautiful expansion in my belly, place of relaxation and expansion in my heart. And I just feel very safe and very held by this technology. So what I'd love to recommend to you before we get into Sandra's presentation is to do a little brain switching exercise. Now, this is from a German doctor, Dr. Dope, D-O-E-P-P. His website is bswitch.com. And what he recommends, when we use technology, what often happens is the brain gets switched. So it loses a coherence, and that means that we aren't fully present in our body. So it means when people are talking to us, giving us important information, sometimes it can't be received by our brain. It can't be processed, it can't land in our consciousness. So in order for you to benefit from this presentation on every level, to really get all of the beautiful offerings here, I'm going to invite you to do a little exercise with me. And what I'm going to ask you to do is cross over your hands and to start to massage from the edge of your eyebrow, both eyebrows, for 20 seconds along that eyebrow, and focus on breathing into your body, breathing into your belly, and uncross your legs if your legs are crossed, get your both feet on the floor, breathe into your belly. And you may already start to feel a shift in your body. And then do the same on the outer edge of your ears, the earlobe, feeling into massaging that area. Again, closing your eyes to keep that focus inside, breathing into the belly. And just notice if you can feel a shift out of being up in your head and more focused in your body, in your belly, in your breathing. And notice what that shift is. Great to do 20 to 30 seconds a day to really help yourself if you use a lot of technology. Most of us are using devices, cell phones, tablets, computers, having Wi-Fi, smart meters. All of this is impacting us. And we don't necessarily realize we're like a frog maybe being boiled slowly in a pan. We don't realize that effect over time. But this can very quickly help us shift out of that incoherence back into a more present state. So I hope you found that useful. And just want to give a little bit of background. Sandra and I, we met in Bali, and we met at the New Earth Festival, and we are both on the faculty of the New Earth University, and I saw an amazing presentation that she gave there all about Fukushima. And for me, it's one of the most strongest challenges we have on the planet to clean up right now. And it was so moving for me and heartening to know that there is a brilliant soul on this earth who is creating a technology that can help this challenge and other issues that we have on the planet to do with EMF radiation. So without further ado, I introduce you to Dr. Sandra Michael. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on and for being able to share the energy. And yes, I do invite people to, no matter what happens, keep breathing. I like to share aloha, as I'm a kahuna, and that means oneness with that breath and spark of life, that energy that fills our hearts and allows us to share the love with the world, that oneness with the breath of the love of all life. And we're here to share that aloha spirit and share that around the world. And this is an amazing broadcast energy. Scalar is a wireless transmission. It's nonlinear, non-Hertzian, fifth-dimensional standing columnar waves, but it's a wireless transmission of energy. It's a carrier wave, and so this is carrying energy, interfacing with your very DNA and activating that original matrix of the DNA. And we'll talk more about that as we go through. But I do want to speak first about the radiation issues, as it is such an acute awareness. I'm going to give a little bit of background, then I'll share my screen. Before I start sharing more about the radiation issues specifically, I was going to start to talk about knowing radiation, acutely familiar with radiation, literally from the inside out, because my mother was fissioning plutonium the entire time she was pregnant with me, because as a nuclear physicist working on the bomb. And my father also a top secret government scientist. So I grew up playing with with Geiger counters and gyroscopes and Tesla type technologies. And the only thing known to counter radiation, according to Lorin Moret and the physicists that I work with, Lorin Moret's another nuclear physicist, and she did a presentation about how Hawaii is uninhabitable after the Fukushima disaster, but also how Tesla type technologies are the only thing known to counter the radiation issues. So that's what we've brought forward, technology that can be used for advanced radiation remediation and as solutions for how do we heal the world and how do we bring healing to humanity. So I'm going to share my screen now, hopefully. Okay. Okay, did that work? Can you see the screen? Okay. So advanced radiation remediation, I wanted to mention, I did work with Dr. Dennis Watts, a NASA physicist, who presented on Fukushima issues, if you want to look it up, on Coast to Coast radio, and talked about me and my technology. And we're working with him. I'm now carrying on his legacy of the advanced radiation remediation and working with a number of other physicists. Okay, so for the advanced radiation remediation, EE systems considered a major part of those clinics, and which he spoke about on that Coast to Coast meeting, and it's not just the clinics, but it's part of the advanced radiation remediation. And here's an example of the E-System bioscalar technology. Of course, you see that running. It does create a healing vortex of scalar energy, which nonlinear, non-Hertzian, fifth-dimensional standing column waves, phase conjugate wave pairs, that enhances cellular structures, but it's also working with that nullification and neutralization of radiation, both in the environment and the effects of radiation in the body. So the Pacific Ocean has been boiling because of the radioactive wastewater. 300 tons of radioactive wastewater has been released every single day since Fukushima happened into the Pacific. And this is what we're seeing from it. Pacific Ocean is dying. We've been eating radioactive fish. They've been, seeing fish with bloody cancerous tumors. And TEPCO was going to try to build a freeze wall, but it failed. You can't freeze it. There's no wall to stop the flow. They're talking about dumping more radioactive wastewater into the ocean. And already most seafood is radioactive, but also it's concentrating in the seaweeds. We have major issues with the radiation. And loaded with cesium and strontium. Strontium gets picked up by the bones. Radiation creates your bone cancers and blood cancers, especially leukemia. And I know in the last week, I've gotten 4 calls about people with leukemia, just here. So this is what we're dealing with. And fish with cancerous tumors. I wouldn't recommend eating any seafood from the Pacific Ocean at this point. And they thought that dilution is the solution for the Fukushima pollution, but it's not quite working. Here's a great white shark. It's a historic first because we all heard for years that sharks don't get cancer. Remember the shark oil thing that was promoted as anti-cancer, but now you see a large tumor with that. And starfish with 18 legs instead of 5. Sea lions are seeing the effect. And you see skin lesions, you see loss of hair. And I'm hearing that a lot from people also as far as these weird skin issues, but also people losing their hair besides the thyroid cancer rates and hypothyroidism and things like that. And doctors aren't trained to recognize the effects of radiation. Instead, they'll just treat the symptoms. So, not just the fish, the mammals, everybody's seeing these bloody lesions, tumors, loss of fur, things like that, which are first signs of radiation poisoning even in humans. And our cancer rates are skyrocketing. Absolutely deadly amounts of radiation being released, dead within 1 hour with these levels of exposure that, and it's since been recorded much higher than what I'm sharing here. If you go swimming in that same water with the fish, you could come out looking like they look. But let's not go there. And it says go to your local supermarket and restaurant and eat up because the government says it's safe. And of course, they would never lie to you. But I do know when Fukushima happened, in the first 10 weeks after Fukushima happened, there was a 48% increase in infant mortality in Philadelphia. 38% in some of the Pacific Northwest, but 48%, and they had the highest radioactive iodine-131 rates in Philadelphia because the radiation is carried across the country and in the wind. So these radiation reports from Bob Nichols, I highly recommend that people look up Bob Nichols and his work and do your own homework on that. Normal background radiation should have been between 5 and 20 counts per minute. And we talked about we should be, we used to think we should be evacuating at 100 counts per minute. Well, in mid-2016, 44 cities in the US were already over 1,000 counts per minute. And so this goes through a list of those. I have checked the current rates, and now many of the rates are at over 7,800 counts per minute. So many places are between 7,000 and 8,000. These are total gamma radiation, TGR it's called. So I highly recommend you track that work. Portland, Maine is one of the higher ones, but also just so many of the cities across the country. And the US now has the highest infant mortality rate because the infant in the womb is the most susceptible to the radiation. The criticality, we're at absolute criticality. It's called extinction level event for the planet, an ELE, because we're in China syndrome, the water tables, everything is, we have a extinction level event in progress, and we're in serious problems. So I did want to mention also with Bob Nichols, I had pulled up, here's a quote from him: "The United States is a very radioactive country now. This high rad level is not survivable. It is killing you and yours. Any question?" Bob Nichols. And it talks about the plutonium radiation and how it's a killer attack on our body's trillions of cells. It's cumulative. And what he has is yourradiationthisweek.org is a website you can go to. And it's, he talks about it not being fixable, but we have solutions. We're in a very powerful time, and there isn't anything that we don't have, everything we need to heal. Some people think there isn't anything that fixes the radiation. And again, we have one of the few things that has been proven to actually neutralize and nullify radiation. Of course, you got the sound somewhat special on the screen. And I'll talk about the EE medallions, bracelets, all that stuff, and a special on the EE systems when you know more about that. But basically, this technology allows a total neutralization and nullification of detrimental field effects and the effects of the radiation, and reorganizing it into like electrical precursors for the body. So that you stay strong. We want to stay strong no matter what we're exposed to. But the reality is, on the planet right now, it's like we're living in a microwave. We should have been, like I said, should have been able to, we think 100 counts per minute was bad. And then in 2016, it was 1,000 counts per minute. Now we're at, it's just crazy numbers that, to stay healthy in this time, we've got to take some radical means. But I actually intentionally created a technology to reverse all those issues. And it's, instead of fission, it's fusion. It's called Fusion Event. Okay. So yes, we want to get out of that radiation. We got kind of stuck in it there for a little bit and move on. We want to go from radiation to radiant health. We just want to stay super healthy, hyper healthy, no matter what we're exposed to. And how do we heal the world? How do we bring healing to a world? We've got so much to turn around, and we have all the solutions. We have everything to fix everything, really. It's just a matter of you cannot stop the future. We are the future. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we have everything. So, bioeffects of photonic fusion, again, fusion being the antidote to fission. This is a true photonic fusion. Photons are your quantums of light. So we're going to be down the rabbit hole a little bit with the bio and quantum nuclear physics. This is an example of a 24-unit system. Beautiful system. Okay. So this way you'll know where to pick up, because we'll.
Thanks.
As like I said, Dr. Lorraine Moret, she mentioned about how Tesla-type technologies are the only things known to counteract the radiation issues. Because what we're seeing with radiation, there used to be 4 radioactive isotopes. Now there's like 1,800, 1,900 different radioactive isotopes, with the plutonium being just deadly to cells, and that fissioning. So what happens with radiation is it unzips the DNA, literally breaks those bonds, unzips the DNA, versus unified fields and scalar and Tesla type technologies. We want to put the DNA back in its original matrix, its original blueprint, so to speak. Unified fields, put it back, and then repair all those breaks in the DNA itself. And so, this is just an authority on Tesla who, came to one of my workshops, and we need to not just blow your minds. We've got a whole world to heal. So, because there's a lot of benefit to bioscalar technology and understanding that. Detoxification, we talk about the DNA and nerve regeneration. When I was originally researching this technology and turned on and put together the whole first system in 1996, NASA showed up wanting to know what we were doing because it showed up looking like the signature of a nuclear sub on land. And then I was working with NASA, and they were studying the effects of our DNA. They were studying the actual effects of this technology on DNA with the top geneticists at Baylor University, and found that this was repairing all the breaks in the DNA and lengthening the telomeres. So true age reversal, but it's going to counter all those radiation effects. And like I said, put the DNA in its original matrix. But really, we have to go into being bodies of light, because these carbon-based bodies are going to start minding this radiation real soon. So we've got to make that transition, like a mutation of the species, but we are essentially beings of light. And that's what we have to activate, that light within. So that's what our technology is for, is accelerated evolution of how do we bring forth that accelerated evolution of our being, ascension process, the great awakening, the global awakening. And how do we live that? How do we generate that? How do we create that in a real, testable, repeatable way? So, neutralizing EMF, ELF, radiation. I'll talk more about that nullification, including 5G, because you've got your ionizing radiation from Fukushima. You've got your non-ionizing radiation from your cell phones, your Wi-Fi, which create accelerated aging because of the detrimental field effects and the breakdown of your immune function and DNA itself. So we want healthy, life-enhancing, intentional resonance fields. These are dense, intentional, informational fields. Superconductive cellular communication, that's your cell signaling. We need to be superconductive, superluminal beings of light. Cellular hydration, oxygenation, balancing pH, that's your hydrogen potential, blood sugar, antidepressant effects. Now, these are the personal effects of using the technology. And then there's the planetary benefits, the environmental side as well. Ideal optimal meditational states, super learning effects, because we need to go into being the transformers, the super beings, the superheroes, and activating all of our capacity. This is designed to look like 12 strands of DNA on the screen, very, very intentionally. We're interfacing with the DNA. If we stop it on a black background, for example, it looks precisely like out of the Genome Project. And so that's going to enhance that neurotransfer velocity so that everything is firing, that cell signaling, everything is accelerated. This is a field engine system. These are field engines. We've got these 8 units behind me. There's 8 units on the other side as well, phase conjugate wave pairs. These are precisely aligned, and that's what creates that nullification. But I wanted you to know it's precisely aligned, laser aligned within 100th of an inch tolerance to create that phase conjugation. So it's a field engine generating multiple bioactive energy fields, including as it goes through what I like to call an infinity wave. That's your basis of scalar, the easiest way to understand it. Instead of specific frequencies, this is sweeping through full spectrum with a predominance in that 7.83 Schumann resonance. You're grounding, the grounding, but we're also in a time where the planet is no longer at that Schumann resonance. So how do we create a transition into, the quickening? How do we create that transition smoothly for the bodies as the planet herself is changing? And accelerating. And you've got the virgin rainforest energy. It's just hyper healthy energy that the body can use, because the power that made the body heals the body. But let's create ideal, optimal, energetic environments. So proven to regenerate life and the DNA, not just for our species, but for all species. So we want to neutralize all the effects of that radiation, the microwaves. We've done testing next to a microwave tower, and a complete nullification. Like it's a 0 point energy. And when you neutralize those effects, part of the effect of neutralizing the radiation effect, when the body has the right charge, it can discharge the heavy metals. And the radiolytic isotopes are all heavy metals to the body. So you want to have that discharge and that release of anything that is not supporting life, and creating that superconductive, dense, coherent, cohesive, biocompatible informational fields, moving at superluminal velocity, and creating what I call dynamic homeostasis. Homeostasis means that, as radiation is cumulative in the body, and that's part of the issue with it, because we're seeing the cumulative effects of radiation. The scalar is the counterpoint to that, in that it is cumulative in the body, which every time your body is exposed to the scalar type environment, which is your secret of the universe, the torsion fields, the scalar vortex, when your body has that energy, it creates a cumulative reorganization to higher levels of function. And we need to be very, very high functioning in these times. So here's just some simple explanation of Mobius coil and how that creates an EM0 field. And here's a California Electric Company field survey showing a total absence of all harmful fields, including the 60 cycle EMF, ELF, radiation, and microwaves, even with microwaves tower in sight. And it was originally Tesla Society scientists that came in and measured the fields and found that it was a total nullification of radiation. And so this is one of the huge, huge gifts that we've brought out. And they even went to the base of the power transformer, 5.5 acres away, and it was read to be 0.0, because we want to change the power grid on this planet, transform from that base of the power, the love of power, to the power of love, and literally override these detrimental, destructive fields with a higher power, the power of love, which is our only saving grace, really. That is the ultimate. And how do you flip everything from degenerative process to total regenerative process? And it's like going from fear to love, but going from, you've got to make that shift at every level of beingness in our environments and with everything that we're doing. And what this creates from that center point at the collision of the fields, it creates like a bubble, goes out 2.2 miles in every direction, 360-degree sphere that creates that null zone energy, 2.2 miles every direction. Every system that goes in increases those fields for the planet and the benefits for the planet. And these are your longitudinal scalar waves, phase conjugate wave pairs, replicant waves. Okay, so what you see on the one side of the screen is your typical 60 cycle, what you would see, versus a scalar. I like to show this because it would be, you can see the rotation on the axis, but you can see how that might interface with the DNA. And scalar is very different than Hertzian. These are nonlinear, non-Hertzian standing columnar waves. But it looks like an infinitely projected Mobius on an axis. So that's your scalar vortex. If you've seen the movie Thrive, which I highly recommend, it talks about that being the secret of the universe, and the golden spiral, the golden mean. And this incorporates the golden mean because that's how we're working with the cellular replication patterns. So that's, so triggers the body's natural healing mechanism, which is the activation of the body's stem cells. So we're activating, mobilizing body's stem cells, and the power that made the body heals the body. So this is how do we plug ourselves back into the cosmic light socket, infinite unlimited power on. And it's through using and understanding the scalar vortex, or this toroidal energy, standing waves. And so this kind of gives a piece of it that, maybe you can understand it or see it easier with this. It's also called the breath of the universe. Like I started with that, aloha, because aloha is also breathing in all that light and energy. And in a system like this, you're literally breathing light, photons, quantums of light through every cell, and it's affecting every particle and tissue because the DNA is biophotonic. Breathing light, letting go of everything we no longer need. Aloha. And so but this is a geometry, literally, of energy flow and understanding that torsion field, the tube torus, and that's why we embed that in these medallions. But here you can see the scalar vortex with the body. The chakras are all that scalar vortex, torsion fields, and that's why they relate so well to this energy. Now, this is before and after 1 hour of being in an EE system. This was testing that is done. There was another Dr. Bob Dratch who developed technology, and he found that in the first 60 seconds of exposure, the body was trying to realign all the chakras in those first 60 seconds. So this is real-time aura imaging that was done because the body relates to this energy and wants to be in dynamic homeostasis. Everything wants to be in balance. And, with this true bioscalar energy, it's field-like, not wave-like. It can implant its signature and regenerate and repair itself indefinitely. How long does an infinity wave last? So we want to create regenerative energy where these are self-perpetuating, self-regenerating fields. So it's capable of imprinting literally, or embedding into like the medallions and the bracelets. You see, I have my bracelets on, so that the blood runs through it. And this helps maintain the integrity of the DNA. So we're putting very high tech. What you're seeing here is very, very high tech. We're colliding photons like CERN or Fermi Labs, okay? This is very high tech. It's been tested by the top scientists all over the world, and the head of Naval Intel and the NASA chief scientists, the NASA chief engineers. It's who I'm working with because we've got to work together. I'm working with the top professor, admiral, professor of nuclear and quantum physics with the Navy, because it's going to take the Navy. It's going to take these genius minds to put our heads together. We've got to be the greater community. And how do we heal the world? How do we fix everything? So understand this is very high tech, but in a low tech model, very affordable. Anybody can wear these pretty medallions and the bracelets, and they work exceptionally well. High tech in the low tech. So it's a solution to help repair the DNA, lengthen the telomeres, like we talked about some of that research. And here's some of the research. Dr. Glenn Ryan, Stanford, Harvard biophysicist, found that human DNA treated in the EE system with an EE system medallion, we also call it the resonate when we're dealing with Clarity, which is a company we hypercharge their products, and that helps bring the charge through every cell of the body. But so he did testing with DNA and found a 28% increase in the electrical conductivity of the DNA. With our technology, also found a 28% reduction in surface tension of water. And the body's mostly water, so that's your hydration. And we're working with bringing charged water to people. 28% reduction in that surface tension of water. Very, very significant. But the electrical conductivity, that's again, your superconductivity, means there's no impedance. This is very, very important to understand. Means there's no, when it's repairing the breaks in the DNA, the cell signaling, everything can fire. So we're moving along biophotonic scalar energy. This is literally a time of transitioning on a planet, and a transmutation of existing detrimental energy fields to energy precursors for the body, energy the body can use, bioactive energy. It's like plugging back into the cosmic light socket, like we talked about. How do we recharge? But we're colliding photons, collision of photons like CERN or Fermi Labs, but in a positive way where it's a photonic fusion in combinations, like a cold nuclear fusion in combination with the scalar. So it's producing new forms of beneficial energy that sweep an entire spectrum, and it looks like magic. Truly amazing physics at a very high level of application. Now, this is some of what John Orava, who was at one point head of head of science for the Pentagon. He was one of the people sent in to find out what I was doing, and he brought $100,000 specialized oscilloscope into a four-unit, just four. We're sitting in a 16-unit here, but just a 4-unit system, brought that in, and it showed that nullification of all detrimental fields, and it showed, and he's explaining what that means, and you can actually access that online, because he was one of those quackbusters sent in to find out what I was doing, but he was amazing to work with because he was a top brain researcher. And so we did some amazing research after this on the effects of the technology and creating ideal optimal meditational states, which is there's a 350-page study on our website under research on meditation. But optimal meditational states, we found that people could go literally into a deeper meditational state than a Tibetan monk in the first 7 minutes because of how it synchronizes right in the brain hemispheres, which is a key and vital piece for all healing, pulling people out of fright, flight, or fight, like I said, that fear mode physically, into a place of balance, 0 point, where you can respond to all the stressors rather than being stressed out in outer reactive mode. It's going from, sympathetic to parasympathetic, where the body can respond to all the stress appropriately, because all life is energy. So every nerve is electric current. Every cell is like a mini battery. Your neurosynapses, everything is firing. So this is literally showing what's occurring with the technology. Your cell phone gets recharged. Now, how do you recharge every cell of your body? We're going to turn the lights on, activate the light within the core of the DNA. But this is Kirlian research done again with an aerospace engineer in $1 million Kirlian lab, before and afters. And what you're seeing is the photonic emissions after exposure to these biophotonic fusion fields. So when you optimize your energy, you optimize your health. Basically, the power that made the body heals the body. And this is like a human battery charger. Let's charge everything back up, but let's bring our environment back into coherence and the environment we would have in an ideal, optimal world. So John Barron did a lot of research, lessons from the miracle doctors. I was recognized as a miracle doctor because we love miracles, and we've seen anything and everything heal, because when the body has the right energy, there isn't anything it doesn't want to heal. And it's all about energy. So Panos Pappas is another research physicist that I worked on. He wrote a theory on cancer, but what he had proven is cold fusion is what actually occurs in the cells. And this was some of his research, and I did some amazing research with him. We're meant to be functioning at 70 to 90 millivoltage when healthy. Disease and aging occur as the cellular energy goes below that. And cancer does not even occur till it's below 20 millivolts. Must be below 20 for cancer to occur. But people are so stressed out where in that fright, flight, or flight, it's taking all the body's energy to cope with a hostile environment, taking all the energy versus being in that regenerative state. We want to take everything from degenerative dis-ease, flip everything as epigenetic. This is, an epigenetic where we flip everything back to regenerative process in the body. We'd rather grow younger than older. How do you repair all the breaks in the DNA, put it back in coherence, back in communication, back in all the signaling, that superconductive state, and increase that voltage of our cells? because our cancer rate's 1 and 2 right now. So this is an accugraph case study. Accugraph is something used to show the millivoltage of the meridians. Acupuncturists use this. This was a study done by a Dr. Cook in a pain clinic, and he found 130 patient study, found increased cellular millivoltage, better meridian symmetry, again, that balance. It was a pain clinic. Everyone had subjective complaint improvements, which reduction of pain was the first thing, and he saw all kinds of things, all kinds of healings and all kinds of benefits. But he proved in his 130 cases that it raised the cellular and the energy. And so this was Professor Tom Loeb read that study, got his own equipment, got his own accugraph, and the before on the left shows the pie chart. And you see in the middle of that an energy read of 21. We're talking again about that millivoltage, 21 beforehand. And you see where the red is too much energy. That's where the body is taking its energy to react to inflammation. That's inflammatory response in the body. What's behind any and all disease and aging is stress, reaction, and inflammation. Where it's the violet is too little energy, because then the body's in survival, so then it only gives enough energy, enough to get by to the other systems. But the chart on the other side, you see everything has gone into the green zone, into balance, and the millivoltage is up to 80 in 1 hour. And this was in an 8-unit EE system in Beverly Hills. And so that's balancing our energy, but it's also activating that light. Prime function of the DNA is the storage of photons. That's your quantums of light. And we know that we're beings of light. Dr. Fritz Albert Popp wrote all about this. Great research. Disease is caused by loss of photons. Carcinogens scramble the light. You can see this as Star Trek medicine or Star Wars medicine. There's a disturbance in the force. But may the force be with you. And that's that laser. Laser is coherent light. We want to be coherent, cohesive, unified fields of light. And so healing is accomplished by photo repair. And that activation of the light, the core of the DNA is literally the stuff from the stars. We are stardust. And that's that activation of what we like to call sometimes our star seed, that activation of our highest potential of our being. And what we're seeing with the release of the hydrogen atoms and the hydrobifurcation that occurs from the fusion, there's a release of active oxygen, but your active hydrogen, which then can repair the covalent hydrogen bonds in your DNA. So there's so many multiple mechanisms of action that we can talk about scientifically. This is pure science. I have presented at MIT and different places on this, but it is pure physics. So you're going to increase that cellular energy, which is you're increasing your transmembrane potential, which is really vital to understand. And that also raises your cellular absorption rates. Cellular detoxification, what you're seeing is the release of charge. You have the phase conjugate wave pairs, phase conjugation, there's an implosion, that's your fusion event, implosion, and a release of charge. Well, when your body has this charge, it now has the energy to discharge anything and everything that doesn't belong. So it creates this detoxification, elegant, efficient, where the body is being exposed to these fields. Take a deep breath. You're breathing light, breathing the energy through every cell. Give it all permission to function more optimally and to lighten up, where your body then can be pushing toxins out of every nook and cranny it can get it out of, because health now is all about detoxification, because we're living in such a toxic soup. The toxins in the air, the water, the food. So this is a supplement before and after being charged. And this is simply holding a charged product. Like if we hand somebody a medallion or a bracelet or a charged product like from the company Clarity, you see the body immediately responds. This is off the thumb. This is Kirlian photography, but you see that enhanced photonic emission. That's also called the human energy field or your auric field. It is your vital light force energy. We're activating that light within you. That's your spark of life. That's your charge. It's your light force energy. And that's just holding something that's charged. The body relates to this. Bioactive means the body's going to grab the energy, go woohoo, and literally the cells get excited. And when the cells get excited, they start cleaning house. It's the first thing they do when they get excited. And everybody wants to know how long a charge lasts. Well, with charging product or charging medallions, 100% of the time when they retest it 6 months later or 10 years later, it's been as great a charge or greater. Because again, these are self-repairing, self-regenerating fields. But it's also like, how long does the infinity last? Infinity lasts a long time. Just keeps on going. Repair indefinitely. Imprinting within the DNA and in products and in substances. We use these medallions and bracelets because it's going to help maintain the integrity of the DNA so you stay strong no matter what you're exposed to. The radiation isn't a problem as long as you stay in total coherence. Again, the problem with radiation is the genetic damage and the unzipping of the DNA. And we want to lengthen those telomeres. This is true anti-aging medicine. Activate and mobilize your body's own stem cells because that is our own healing mechanism. So we did a pilot study when I lectured at the Royal Society of Medicine in London, and we found in an 8-unit system, we found increased mitochondrial activity was quadrupled mitochondrial activity in 1 hour. This is outrageous. The mitochondria are your power plants of your cells. So this explains our extraordinarily rapid neuroregeneration, extraordinarily rapid healing. Reduced surface tension of water, I mentioned that, 28%. This is that research by, again, Dr. Glenn Ryan. And testing done by Jack Schulman. He's another DOD Pentagon consultant. Found that this was creating a form of interdimensional high superscalar energy, entire life force or light force, I like to call it, improvement. Permeability of water increased, surface tension decreased, absorption of nutrients is very, very important. They did testing that found the hydrogen atoms. I talked about the hydrobifurcation, but the positive effects of active hydrogen in the body, which then can work with, they found it was trying to put the entire body in the proper pH. What's pH? Your hydrogen potential or the power of hydrogen. pH is vital to get the body alkalinized because cancer only exists in an acidic environment, and also the release of active oxygen. So you've got like your ultimate oxygen therapy at the same time. And found the energy covalent level of each hydrogen atom was increased. And he also talked about how he personally was revitalized, refreshed, invigorated, recharged back up. Da-da-da-da-da. How do we create beings that are supercharged to heal the world? Dr. George Carlo, another NIH researcher who's a world authority on electro field effects, came into our technology, and he calls it the Holy Grail. Dr. Sabina DeVita presented research with our technology. She wrote the book, Electromagnetic Pollution, originally, and she presented our technology in Russia with Dr. Konstantin Karakov, who was recently here visiting me, and we'll be presenting in Russia ourselves this next year, but found quantifiable results that she presented in Russia. These are before and afters. They had never seen anything that improved the human energy field as rapidly as our technology. But one of the things captured, and this I shared with at the Pentagon, actually, shared with some of the generals that I know, and had the release of head trauma. So this is your traumatic brain injury, TMI stuff, etc. But this was somebody that Dr. Sabina DeVita was training. She's a top trainer in the bioelectrography, the GDV of Dr. Karakov's, which is now called the BioWell. But this is before and after. This was a scientist, 68 years old, Charles. You see his name on there. Charles went into the system, said, it looks like a bunch of broken computers. I don't feel anything. This is a bunch of hogwash, BS. Walked out and stopped in the middle of the hallway and goes, "It's gone. It's gone." And Dr. DeVita asked him, "What's gone, Charles? Did you lose your wallet?" "No," he said, "the ringing in my ears, my tinnitus is gone." He had been, when he was a teenager, he's now 68 years old, a very kind of, very skeptical scientist doctor. And he had been hit upside the head as a teenager with brass knuckles. And the tinnitus started sometime after that. So he remembered that, and they went back and captured the release of that head trauma. They actually captured that discharge, so that release of that head trauma, and the tinnitus was gone. We have people that have been, quite a few, that have been deaf for 40 years from different traumas. I work a lot with the military. I had one Navy doctor who had gone on the ship, and the cannon had gone off as he stepped onto the deck, and he'd been totally deaf in one ear for over 40 years. After spending his first 8 to 12 hours in a EE system, he had 80% of the hearing back in that ear, and then that returned to full hearing 40 years later. Again, this is part of that release of old damage, body trying to go back to its original, body discharging what no longer is necessary. And it's going to take the energy and let go of anything and everything it can as fast as it can, and still maintain that level of how it's in alignment with best and highest for optimal life. Because if the body let go of all the toxins at once, it wouldn't be good either. So the body's going to take, like peeling an onion, and discharge and chuck off everything it can in a healthy way. But this actually captured the release of that head trauma. But I talk about cumulative. So every time you go in a system, whether you feel it or not, because he didn't feel anything, but whether you feel it or not, the body's going to take the energy and dump old traumas, old pockets of toxins, whatever the body doesn't need. So this is really vitally important to understand. And here we're looking at the increase of the voltage in the brain. This was research when I presented in Korea. They have our technology there, and I presented for the heads of all the universities. And this is EEG. It's the millivoltage of the brain before and after just 10 minutes. So you can see it's like defragmenting a computer where you have coherent, optimized brain function, and this much change in 10 minutes. Of course, scalar moves at superluminal velocity, 1.4 times the speed of light. So yeah, and other EEG testing. This is another top brain researcher, did EEG. This is Dr. Nancy White. You can actually find her being interviewed about our technology. One of the things she found was with a little girl with autism who had never spoken a single word. She came out of our technology, out of the EE system technology, an 8-unit system there in Houston. She came out and started talking to her. We have a lot of examples with autism because of increased brain function. Enhanced brain function is something very common. So, and this was research done in Sedona, Arizona, with thermography, digital thermal imaging. And the before, you see the gentleman with sinusitis. The white is a very hot spot. The red, orange is inflammation. This was somebody having acute chronic migraines. And the second picture, you see how much healing energy is. The green is healing, healthy energy. And he was a smoker, so you still see some inflammation in his throat. But this is after just 2 sessions, never another migraine. Another one of my generals brought his wife, who had been having acute chronic migraines since she was 16. She'd tried everything. After one 2-hour session in the system, she's never had another migraine since. But they wear the medallions religiously, and the bracelets, and a funny story with that general is he was in Houston. He said they broke into my car, they stole my laptop, they stole my my briefcase, they stole all this stuff. She goes, how fast can you get me 2 medallions, a white one and a black one, as fast as possible? How fast can I get them? Okay. So improved psychology, this is a personality orientation inventory. They found 95 people out of 100 would be more present and more loving, and it's a wonderful little study. You can read it on the website. But a lot of that's from reducing that inflammation so that people respond from a place of peace rather than reacting out of reactive mode. You can respond appropriately to all the stressors. Now, this is a powerful study. This is Keith. I met him. Keith had what was diagnosed as Parkinson's, but he had total paralysis of one hand, one arm, his dominant hand, so he couldn't work. He had paralysis of one leg. He was taken to a 4-unit system. You don't see as rapid a change because an 8-unit, which you saw before, is about 10 times better in effect than a 4-unit. So this is just a 4-unit system. You see the inflammation, and you see after 2 hours. But when they went in to get him after 2 hours, the hand had been totally paralyzed for a year. He was looking at his hand and flexing it and crying. He didn't need the walker after the first time in. The second time in, he could stand on the leg that was paralyzed. The third time in, he could jump on that leg and dance. So the wife came to see me to thank me for giving her husband back. This is another example in Sedona with the thermography. This woman was diagnosed with bronchitis. You see the red-orange, the inflammation. And after 1 hour, again, this was 1 hour in an 8-unit system, you see how the body has taken the energy and it's moving the congestion, whatever created dis-ease, it's going to try to move it out. So it's going to try to move the congestion out. You see the throat is now where the inflammation is because the body is just going to, the natural way of detoxing the respiratory system is to cough. And so the body's trying to try to cough the stuff. You see also the lymphatic system, you see under the arms, the body's going to try and move it out to the lymphatic system, and the organs of elimination. So you want to drink a lot of water to help flush that, but you also want to do, because the body is trying to push toxins out of every nook and cranny, you want to work with supporting that lymphatic system. You want to do a detox salt bath. It's what I call the world's easiest detox. You have the body has the energy, it's trying to discharge to every nook and cranny. The largest organ of elimination is the skin. So the world's easiest detox is to get in a bath with 2 cups of salt. Salt is a negative charge. The toxins are a positive charge. It'll pull the toxins like a magnet. Salt's the old healer. But a pound of salt in the tub. And breathe, because that's, again, respiration, breathe. But a nice hot salt bath. So it opens up the pores, it opens up the capillaries, increases the circulation, and it'll pull the acidity. And it'll work with the charge in the body and the potassium sodium pumps and all that. And it'll pull the acidity out of the body. So this is very, very important in also reversing cancer or preventing cancer. So that hot salt bath. The specific bath that everybody needs now for radiation, to pull radiation, is 2 cups salt, 2 cups baking soda. And it's a minimum of 2 cups salt. In the cancer clinics in Europe, they use 2 kilos, which would be 4.4 cups of salt. So you want to create that strong salt. But I've worked with 2 cups of salt for about 40 years now with people for detox. So send yourselves to bath heaven, breathe, let the toxins, let everything dissolve into the water, all the toxic emotional stuff too, work with the water. Breathe, let everything dissolve into the water, let it go down the drain, and say aloha. 100% improvement in the blood in 100% of the cases. This is some of our blood research. This is typical before and after. This is heavy fungal load. This is from a 36-patient study. You see after 1 hour, the blood is totally free-flowing and completely oxygenated. Beforehand, you see that's what's called hypoxia. And there's not enough oxygen to get to the organs or to get to the brain. And that's, like I said, it's a candida fungal load. And if after 1 hour, you see perfectly formed cells, all free flowing. So that works with your microcirculation, reversals of peripheral neuropathies, retinal neuropathies, things like that. And you see it's perfectly oxygenated because it's oxygenating the body from the inside, that release of the active oxygen and active hydrogen. And the fluidity, again, that 28% reduction in surface tension. And these are other before and afters. The one on the bottom is Parkinson's. And we've seen a lot with Parkinson's. So in 1 hour, you see perfectly formed cells where there were only damaged cells before. And it's a heavy viral load on the one on top. And you see the body in the process of reversing that heavy viral load and try to clean that up. Again, you can read that study on our website. This is another really powerful, dramatic thing. If anybody knows what sickle cell anemia is extraordinarily painful. This is a little boy from Haiti who went to the EE system in Sarasota, Florida. This was his blood beforehand. This is live blood cell analysis or microscopy, and you clearly see the sickle cell. What happens with sickle cell is it clumps up the blood so much that stops the circulation to the organs, and the organs start shutting down and dying. And it's excruciatingly painful. Well, this is the blood before. Here's the blood after 45 minutes. It's no longer sickle cell. Not another attack ever that we know of. Cellular absorption rates, which had never had improved a single case recorded of improved numbers. And this is an FDA-approved test. 100% showed documented improvement after just 1 hour. So this helps explain that cellular absorption explains our profound benefits for diabetes or insulin resistance and things like that. Dr. Victor Marcial Vega spearheaded our initial clinicals, 132 patient study, and presented this to the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. This was back in 2001. In 2002, he presented it at the Radiation Oncology Committee meeting because it's in the top 1% of credentials of doctors in the country. He is a John Hopkins trained oncologist and presented at the Radiation Oncology Committee meeting as an adjunct therapy for cancer because it mitigated pain and side effects so well, even in stage 4 metastasis. But this is what he wrote: better sleep, first thing you have, because the first symptom of electropollution, electrosmog, radiation, the body being bombarded 24/7, the first symptom is sleep disruption, sleep disturbance. So better sleep is one of the first things we hear is pain control. Others were healed of blindness. I love miracles, crazy miracles. He had somebody 100% blind in 2.5 months, actually 2 months later. After the first time in, he thought he could see little bits of color, little bits of light or something. He'd been 100% blind for a year. Detached retinas. He had detached retinas and cataracts, and zero connection with the testing between, zero the retinal response, because no connection between the brain and the eyes. So he was 100% blind. But in 2 months, he was able to drive a car. And about 2.5 months later, he tested as 20/20 vision in one eye, 20/30, something like that in the other. And he called me up years later again to thank me for how many people he'd been able to help as an integrative and naturopathic type doctor since being, since having his vision back. Well, we all want clarity of vision. Let's decalcify that pineal gland. And one of the things, better sleep, but people have lucid dreaming. And that's really, really important. So, but he said others were healed of blindness, diabetes, trauma, cataracts, and stress. Powerful energy enhancer that promotes very deep states of ultimate relaxation if we allow it, from which any and all healing can occur. So I was just on with Dr. Victor Marcial Vega. He's a professor of integrative medicine down in Puerto Rico, and he's going to be doing some clinical testing now with our EE-Cube, which is our new, we were talking about that, Eeshi-Ra, the EE-Cube, the new mini model system that it's 4 units in a cube versus having to be set up with lasers and installed like this.
Yeah,
but clinical results, stress reduction, easier meditation, better sleep, increased learning. Some reported complete healing of chronic conditions after only a half hour. 85 to 90% experienced deep sense of love, relaxation, expanded awareness, tingling, increased libido. 90-some% of our systems are in private homes around the bed. Wonder why. Okay, clarity and energy improvement. They came out feeling very happy. Now, actually, you do want to sleep in a system. That's how you reboot the body. Because healing, if the eyes are open, 80% of the body's energy is 80-some% is being used to react to the environment, the energy being externalized. Versus when you close your eyes, you want to go to the deep delta and theta brain states, which is where the body can use all the energy to heal, to repair, to rejuvenate, to regenerate from the inside out. So it's very, very important to go to those deep relaxational states. So the best thing is having a system in your home around your bed. Deep sleep. So here's Dr. Gerber, Greg Gerber, and you can pull up videos of him. Dr. Greg Gerber, he was chief of internal medicine, Houston Memorial Hospital System. One of his cases, these are a number of his cases, and he talks about peripheral neuropathy. There's a CNN clip that he's on there. Both those doctors are on the CNN clip where they did a 4-minute piece on our technology. But one of his was a spinal cord injury. He had somebody with a severed spinal cord from a sports accident and had full function in about 2 months, 2.5 months later, full recovery, full function after severed spinal cord, which he would have been paraplegic for life, as far as medically impossible, but all things are possible. The body wants to heal and function perfectly, but you would only see results like this if it's activating and mobilizing the body's stem cells without injections. But imagine what we can do if we really work with integrative. This is designed to support healing at such a level where it's designed to bring any and every treatment modality the highest potential of what we could be and what they could be and should be doing. What if we could bring every healer and every healing modality to the highest potential? Greater coherence, where the information and all the energy can flow so quickly, because we are superluminal. We're beings of light. To be super beings of light, we need all of our full capacities turned on. And everybody just wants to be turned on, right? I do double-blind studies on that. Okay, so these were some of what he saw, the vision improvement. Vision improvement we hear all the time. This is one of his end-stage renal patients, began producing urine after the third 1-hour session after nearly 4 years of dialysis. Being in total kidney failure, he started producing urine. Heart ejection fraction went from 11%. That's where you can take just a few steps, have one of those walkers that has a seat. And it went from the heart ejection fraction, which realized the heart produces that torsion field, that beautiful torsion field. And it went from 11%, that's your heart ejection fraction is the heart's capacity for pumping blood, for moving the blood, went to 43%. And then he was kind of in crisis because he was being over medicated. Dr. Gerber was frustrated because the cardiologist didn't understand how a heart ejection fraction could improve like this. So, when he checked into the hospital, he was getting dizzy. They found that the heart ejection fraction had jumped from 43% to 55%, and it went up to 70%. We've had other people come off the heart transplants list and things like that. Blood glucose reduced, from uncontrollable blood sugar and blood pressure to off all the drugs. The angina was gone. He dropped 60 plus pounds. He regained taste, smell, and vision because he was blind from the retinal neuropathy. Went from a cardiac cripple to community ambulator. In fact, he started walking so much he was getting blisters because they had to change out the shoes. But he used an 8-unit system in Houston, up to 4 hours a week. And here you see a little system in that picture, just 4 units, which is the minimum to create that conjugate wave pair. 4 units being the minimum, we've now put that into a cube as well. But this is in a little clinic, and this is what people do around their beds and stuff too. So just wanted to talk a little bit about how that works. So improved immune function, cell membrane potential, detoxification, balancing the brain, skin renewal, organ regeneration. We could talk so much about all of this. And I mentioned hydrobifurcation, which is part of the effective fusion, which is releasing the active oxygen, so that total oxygenation, and the active hydrogen, which is your ultimate antioxidant, and it's the ultimate fuel for the cells because we have literally hydrogen fuel cells. And so that's how we get that, mitochondrial activity increase, which is incredible. Balancing the pH, repair the hydrogen bonds. Remember we talked about that, the radiation unzips the DNA, this puts the DNA back where it belongs, but the release of that active hydrogen allows the repair of those hydrogen bonds in the DNA. This is an autism study. I mentioned we've seen a lot with that. It's put as mitigation of seizure disorder, and this is published in the Journal of Neurology Research out of John Burns Medical School at University of Hawaii, with Dr. Terry Shintani, who's the professor who's chair of CAM. They've now had our technology for about 11 years, but they had a vaccine damaged girl, it was clear vaccine damage, having 8 to 10 grand mal seizures every single day, 8 to 10 petite mal seizures. She's about 4 years old. And they had tried everything, including purchasing their own hyperbaric chamber. They'd done chelation. They had done everything from every modality. And for a number of years already, she had been having 8 to 10 grand mal seizures every day. She had her first seizure-free day ever after her third 1-hour session in the EE system at the medical school. Now, this took a bit to get published. If they had said vaccine damage or if they had said autism, it would not have been published. But you can read the study online. I highly recommend that. We've had lots of fantastic results. Again, with both being able to throw out the aluminum, the mercury, the heavy metals to discharge what's created the dis-ease in the first place, but also the repair, the regeneration, and the brain function, like with dementia and Alzheimer's, that's considered to be inflammation on the brain, essentially. But it's also like diabetes of the brain. And so we've seen amazing recovery of brain function. And we all need to have the greatest intelligence now. So this is an example of a double EE cube. You see what that looks like. And Dr. James DeBoer said extraordinarily rapid post-surgical healing, people no longer needing their antidepressants. He was taking people very rapidly off antidepressants because the way this oxygenates the brain and opens up all the neural pathways in the brain. It's like being on drugs with no drugs. And it's a natural high and the meditational states. And it allows the body to discharge those drugs. I have an example too. I just had a little baby brought here, just born, was born with a meth addiction. The mother was on meth, and the baby calmed right down in the system and calmed, just total change right in front of your eyes. And they brought the baby back at 1 month, and she is just bright and precious and beautiful and doing phenomenally well. So again, this is very, very extraordinary benefits for any kind of addiction issues. And she was in withdrawal, and it reversed all the symptoms of the withdrawal. So results have been, quite frankly, miraculous. We love crazy miracles. We've seen anything and everything heal. This is some of what we've seen. You might want to stop on that slide and look. But this is one of our miracle people. I've worked a lot with the military, and this was a Marine reconnaissance. He's just known as the General. 77 years old. He had been sent home to die by the VA after having had 3 strokes. And here you can see he had 3rd-degree burns over his whole body, no bowel control, no bladder control, paralysis on both sides. He said at one point he couldn't even move his eyes. I mean, he was moving his eyes by the time he got to me, but I said, just get him to me. He'd been sent home to die. I said, just do what you can, get him to me. They brought him, they was carried in, they brought him 4 hours a day. And you can never have too much energy. When they brought him after that, I had him actually stay in the system more. But they brought him 4 hours a day. And this was in a 12-unit system, similar to what you're seeing behind me, but this is 16. So just towers of 3, 4 towers of 3. So 12-unit system, 4 hours a day. And this is how he was carried in, how he looked. This is him 10 days later. He's now 82, doing very, very well. Walks with just a cane, has been able to take care of himself. The recovery, as long as they get him back to me every 6 months or a year, he just will keep getting better. We love miracles. For the Love of Our Vets is a chapter published in the health edition of Journeys to Success. Dr. Linda Nadia Hole is a Princeton-trained MD who did a pilot study for the veterans. And the chapter then was called For the Love of Our Vets, and it's her writing up about the pilot study that was done, a promise for our veterans' mental and other health challenges. And we are currently working with vetusa.com to provide 1,100 energy wellness centers for our veterans. And this is a very, very important project to me. I've got 2 big projects, one being the advanced radiation remediation, 1,100 energy wellness centers for our veterans because they have had the most exposures, the most damage for the veterans and their families. And we're just waiting for the funds to be released because Trump himself has actually talked about the suppressed technologies and these healing programs for the vets, and signed the right to try. And he signed these things for using integrative and alternative medicine. But it's it's a former colonel who's on Trump's advisory board with Vet USA and has this project for the veterans. So if everybody take a deep breath, we're all waiting for the release of the humanitarian funds to produce peace and prosperity, health and healing for the planet. Anytime now, we are in this amazing time of deep shift. The whole planet is in deep, deep shift. But it's time for the shift to hit the fan. Everything is at critical mass, obviously. It's crazy. It's critical mass. Cancer in the body also is critical mass. Understand, as a planet, we're at critical mass, criticality, extinction level events. How do we turn a planet? Every system that goes in expands the fields exponentially to help override all the detrimental and abuse of Tesla type technologies. Override that with a higher power, the power of love. We just want to heal the world quickly. 24 unit systems, a geometry of the DNA, really, really magical. This is what's going to be going in for the veterans. And some of the pictures you saw was a 16 unit that's in like Tony Robbins' home and things like that. But the best is having it around the bed. Got to heal yourself first, or who you're going to help. Like putting on your oxygen mask on the plane. Healers, we need every healer to be as healthy as possible. We need every healer turned on and like on steroids in a good way. So having around the bed, this is an example of that. I was asked to head up the symposium on healthy aging in Istanbul, Turkey at the first International Care Congress. And this was addressing all the issues of population aging. And Dr. Alex Kelechi of the World Health Organization was the keynote presenter. It was the heads of 60 nations, the prime ministers, ministers of health of 60 countries, addressing all the statistics and all the issues of what we deal with populations as they age. One of the things he said is to have healthy aging, we must be creating health at every age. And they're creating cities of health. Of course, that might be some of the problems that we're having in Turkey too, but because there are those that don't exactly want the reverse of all the genocide and the healing of all of this. But the other thing Dr. Alex Kelechi said to the heads of these 60 nations is that the disease model, the medical model, the pharmaceutical model worldwide is not working. We have to create a new model. We have to be the future, and you cannot stop the future, really. So tag your it, let's go. You wouldn't have your highest purpose, your highest mission, your greatest vision if you didn't have everything to fulfill it. Let's go. We've got to just, in spite of anything and everything, it's time to move forward. You wouldn't have that vision of the healing centers and all the healing for the planet if we weren't here to do it. And this is Dr. Bob Del Monte, used our technology at 86. And so I also say we have to make new pictures for the planet. We have new, again, ideal optimal meditational states where every cell can be in coherence with your vision, your mission, your purpose. What does that look like for you? How do you want your body to be at 86? Or how do you want your partner's body to be at 86? The future of health caring is in our hands. So when I give you all the energy, take some deep breaths, breathing in all the energy you could possibly want or need to do anything and everything you could possibly want or need to do to fulfill all of your highest purposes in living your greatest life and greatest love here on earth as is in heaven through us now. Thank you for letting me share with you. This is applied integrative biophysics, and we want to give you the tools to help heal the world and heal ourselves. We love miracles. The miracles with the medallions have been reported at the Vatican. This is our Father Ernest Silva. He's when I met him, he had already witnessed 9 crazy miracles with these medallions. Or what he has is a tiger's eye medallion. I don't know if you can see this, but this tiger's eye medallion to match their habits. Now, white and black ones went to the Vatican. There's a lot to heal there. But the infirmary, because he's a Franciscan, he was Pope John Paul's chief protege at the Vatican for like 5-6 years. And he's an amazing healer and intuitive, psychic, amazing being, and part of Hawaiian royal bloodline. So, I have that background as a kahuna. So I wanted to share that Hawaiian piece with them too. But, he took these tiger's eye medallions to match their habits. So you want to have medallions to match your wardrobe. But he said in the infirmary, the people with arthritis no longer had pain from their arthritis. They could go up and down the stairs, no longer had the migraines. People passed the medallions around instead of aspirin for pain. Put them under your pillow, put them to sleep with. You can also grid the bed. There's also chakra sets to work with the medallions in lots of amazing ways. These little suckers really work crazy miracles. So high tech, a very low tech, easy to carry model. You can restructure water. I love what it does for wine. You can taste the difference. You can hold it to a bottle of champagne or a glass of champagne and watch the bubbles change, and it'll make it's amazing, the benefits. I belong to a sommelier group, and what it does for wine is really, really fun. But it's really phenomenal results. That 28% reduction of surface tension. Let's bring everything, not just the wine, but bring everything to its potential in communion. That sacred communion. We have to be the greater community. And so we want to share that blessing and that love with people. These are very, very affordable to wear, to share, and people feel them right away. You have one, right, Eeshi-Ra? And anyway, and then we're going to offer $500 off on those cubes, because those can go out. They don't need installation. They're pretty easy to put on. Yeah, we'll take the screen back to you.
Yeah, I've got my medallion on. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we'll have you talk about that, see if there's any questions. But the EE cubes are easy. The EE systems themselves start at $24,000 at 24 units over $100,000. There's 24 units going in right now in Abu Dhabi. Very, very interesting. But the EE cubes are very, very affordable, high tech in a portable almost model. They sit there and they're like a photon fountain. They just generate the fields and create that null zone effect, but you can't get yourself in the middle of it. But those EE cubes are like $12,500. So it's $500 off on those. You have to call and ask for that. But this SS20 is the code for 20% off on the bracelets. The EE bracelets, people ask what's the difference. The medallion is stronger, does like a 5-foot cocoon of maintain the integrity of the DNA and the red blood cells. Red blood cells are also this torsion field shape, donut shape. So it maintains the integrity of those blood cells and the free flowing of. And the bracelets are at a pulse point, and they're pretty easy to wear, easy to pop on a wine bottle or a water bottle. The blood runs through it. So they work really, really well. Hold their charge indefinitely. Don't ever need recharge. We just want to charge you up. And it's infinite waves of aloha, healing energy around the world. That touch the hearts of all beings to feel more love, because the more that we feed the fields of the grid around the planet and within the planet, the more it allows everybody to access those fields of accelerated evolution, the great awakening that cannot and will not be stopped. Thank you for letting me share, and let me go through all this on screen here. There you are.
Yay. Well,
Made it through.
I am so, so grateful to you for being here on this planet at this time and sharing your brilliance today and enabling more people to feel hope for the future, to feel there are solutions out there to deal with some of the most challenging things that we face, the impact of Fukushima and 5G, and the different technologies which have been harmful to us, that you have a technology that is helpful. So I really so appreciate all of the things you've shared, and I hope that sends a message to others that there are solutions that we can use. And you wanted to offer a meditation for everyone to tune in a little bit?
Well, a Hawaiian chant, again, ancient. I've been recognized as a kahuna for well over 30 some years officially by, by an amazing, he's considered a legend, wise golden treasure, my teacher of the chants, and one of the ones who recognized me in the fulfillment of prophecies of the kahunas and said, you must share, because the prophecies are that at the time of crisis on the planet, it's aloha that heals the world. And this is programmed with that aloha, again, that oneness with the breath of that light force of energy of all life, in infinite waves. You see, this is that wave of love. This is that sacred dance of the DNA, dance of creation. Can you see this on the screen where it's breathing it into the heart?
Yeah.
And it flows out infinitely.
Yes.
The dance of creation, the dance of the DNA, when that's applied to the body, that's your lomi. It allows a spiraling into the double helix of the DNA to release anything that is not of core essence, because the core of the DNA is the light. And you're letting go of anything and everything that ever dammed up or jammed up the flow of light, of life, unlimited power, infinite intelligence to you, through you, or as you. So I've been teaching more than 40 years, but recognized as a kahuna for 30 some years. And I just wanted to share it because the Hawaiian chants are designed to trigger interdimensional awareness. And again, this is 5D, 5 at least. That's the definition of scalar, but this is an interdimensional vehicle. And those of you that have extraterrestrial memories might remember this as the recalibration chambers on the ships. But that's another story, to recalibrate the DNA between planets and things as you're going through time warps or radiation exposures.
Yeah.
But light bodies don't care about the radiation. We have to go into radiant light because the pure science, the pure physics is, as we radiate light, nothing that is not of the light can affect us. No longer have effect. You want to stay strong in your coherent laser light. This is like laser light acupuncture, for the body. But it's also like earth acupuncture, each system that goes in. And it's like Tesla's work where it goes through the planet. And we're getting ready to go into the labs and really do some amazing, amazing work. So again, working with these top, I'm working with the person that originally sent NASA to find me.
Right, that's great. Well, it's good to know that the military and NASA and different people who are big wigs in that world, they are starting to wake up to new, more beneficial technologies. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's from within we conquer, from within ourselves, activating the light within us. It's all within us. We are the matrix. Yeah. You can see this looks like the matrix. Well, it is that. And we are the creators. And if we could create everything we've created, now what do we want to create? This is a powerfully creative planet. It's a very creative planet, obviously. And we've done really well at creating hell on earth.
Yeah.
Lessons, that's what I call lessons in moronics and how to trash a paradise, beautiful planet. Lessons in moronics. And the brilliant idiots. Their gig is up.
Right. How bad does it have to get before we wake up and start choosing something else?
All we need to do is wake up.
Yeah.
The great awakening, the global awakening. I like to call this cellular enlightenment. Let's turn the lights on. What if you really know how powerful you are as beings?
Yes.
I mean, everybody said we have access to unlimited power, infinite intelligence, unconditional love. So what's the problem, right?
Yeah.
It can all be easy.
Yeah.
We got time to quit sitting on our access and allow that power to rise up from within us, up our spine. That's our kundalini, right? Allow that power to rise up within us. Yeah. The Egyptians had, the pharaohs had that fully raised hood of enlightenment.
Yes.
The cobra. And
Yes.
that's what, that activation of the pituitary pineal, a fully raised energy, allow that energy to rise up from within us and be in that high, powerful energy of the God and Goddess beings that we
Toroidal
truly
field
are.
activation. Yeah.
Christ said everything he did and more were to do.
Yeah.
It's time to get on with it.
Yes.
He said we can move mountains with a mustard seed of faith. I'm in a bloodline of Martin Luther. Okay, let me be on my.
Right.
We can move mountains with a mustard seed of faith. We're not limited to moving mountains. All things are possible. So to think anything's impossible is a sin. I want everybody to take some deep breaths and use the energy of the chant, because it's designed to open up interdimensional awareness. They knew where they were from. It tends to bring you back into the memory of your lights, your star seed, your light memory, back into the light codes. It's designed to activate all that multidimensional awareness, and they knew where they were from, and we know where we're from and why we're here, right?
Yep.
So use the chat, breathe deeply and fully. I might share 2 chants, but anyway, it's quick. Yeah. Breathing light, breathing love, using all the energy to turn up the volume on your own inner knowing, to let yourselves just know all that there is for you to know here now. Breathing all the light of the entire universe through every cell and every part of yourselves, through all parts of the universe is within you, letting every cell know and remember the power of the truth of the love of our being here now. And using the energy, using the chant to carry you to its origins within you, to your highest potentials and greatest love here on earth now. Ho'opuka e kalama kahikina e kahua kahiheli no tumta ha'amainai wa mehi'iaka tapolaka ika ulubehi vehi nehi mainai wa maku alu ha'ina oe te tapu me na li'i e ola maku amalolahi e hala e hala e ah so chant in honor of the dawning of the means of enlightenment means let us go into the light that is behind all light. Let's pierce through the sun to remember our sonship, the grand central sun, and receive all the solar initiations of our Christed beingness in these chants belonging to the Ali'i. This is time for us to remember we are the direct descendants of the gods, of the God and Goddess beings, to remember that we are pure children of light, children of God. It's time to really show up. Yeah. Walk this planet in full awareness of who we are. Walk this planet as fully realized God, Goddess beings, Christed beings. The second coming of Christ is our job. It's a real job, joy of being. Time to show up with all that you are. And another little chant of blessing from Uncle George Naopi. Ai no hana kia kuai kana hele take your cocoa ramali kanani malue ho e haluna kawawa noa waihike. Oh Lord God, Goddess, all this, we're willing to be so completely filled and aligned with your light and your love and your energy that you are truly indeed being in love and making love with us, through us, and as us. And all limitations, all impediments, all kapus, all resistances, coherence means no resistance, right? All resistance can be released now. Through the power of that union, divine oneness, that love within us now. Yes. Thank you. Mahalo And
Oh,
aloha. Thank you for letting me share with you and to share with everybody. And may this wave of love travel all over the world, touch the hearts of all beings to feel more love now.
yes.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. I so feel your spirit. I so love who you are. And I'm deeply grateful. And for those viewers watching, we went a bit over time, but was it worth it? I'm sure you can agree it was so worth it.
Yeah. And you have your medallion. We have these are like receptors.
Yeah.
Satellite receptors.
Yeah. It's
We
great.
want to receive all the transmissions from God and know everything God wants you to know.
Yeah.
And do it. Let's do this thing.
So just one more last reminder. Sandra, would you like to share your websites? Because you've got 2, right?
We have many, but yeah. But yeah, the eesystem.com, and there's a research page, and there's all kinds of stuff on there. And there's a product page where we hypercharge the products. And there's a number of things. There's so many things we could have talked about, but you can get the medallions and bracelets. You can call the office at 702-527-6448 in case somebody didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Or they're just listening. And then there's drsandrarosemichael.com. And I share my magic formulas on there. There's the bath recipes, but there's also a magic formula. I've been helping people reverse cancer and diabetes and stuff for 40 years, so I've learned some tricks. This is phenomenal energy. That's how we created this, because I was recognized as one of the top healers on the planet.
Right.
And because everything would heal. But there's only so many people I could touch.
Same with your bath recipe, that like kids were getting a heavy metal detox and the whole water went black, right?
That's right. Yeah, a little boy with autism. The mother had chelated him. She was a naturopathic doctor, had done everything. And she took him to the 8-unit system in Florida, one of the Sarasota. And afterwards, she put him in the bath and the water turned black, absolutely black. That's how fast the body, wants to release. May all things be released now, right? Through that power of union.
Any longer.
Phase conjugate wave pairs. You can see that as a conjugal relationship of God, goddess coming together, and that release of charge. It's like an orgasm.
Right. Yeah. Let's get everybody started.
It's the big O. It's the big O, and every cell wants to be orgasmic. And in that pulse of life, the body releases everything that is not part of that light force.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more of the science can be sexy side.
Oh, yeah. We like that.
Phase conjugate wave pairs come together, release of charge is implosion. That implosion is like an orgasm, okay? Conjugal relationship.
Yes, indeed.
It's very tantric. And that's why people put it around the bed. Everything works perfect. The hormones go all perfect. The circulation's perfect.
All the energy's flowing.
But it's also doing the planet. Yeah. It does the planet too.
Going out, broadcasting all the time. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and like I said, it runs. People want to know 24/7 because we've got a whole planet. You wouldn't want to shut that energy down when it's affecting so much, and it's so needed.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you don't have this, it's like you're living in a microwave and we're all being cooked right now. And I could have gone more into that, but enough of that.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have that awareness, isn't it? That we have a challenge, because a lot of it's not talked about in the mainstream news, perhaps. So to have that bit of a heads up and then go, okay, well, we've got some beautiful solutions which we can use to get great results. And that's what I hope will send a real message of hope to people today and whoever's watching whenever they watch this.
Yeah, and so they can go on there on the drsandrarosemichael.com. There's also how thoughts have been stored in the body, something called the body map of how thoughts, and it shows the lower side of something, say guilt, and the higher side is one of the secrets of instant healing is as soon as you get the message from higher self, that's what we want you to know, right? As soon as you know what something's about, no more need for the symptom, it's released. As soon as you get the message what something's about, no more need for that symptom.
That's it. It's just the
And
message
as
from the
soon
body.
as,
Yeah,
yeah, again, the kahuna secrets of instant healing is as soon as you're present with anything and everything with love, it all heals.
yeah,
Because it's just where you bought into lies in the
right.
body.
Well, it's like you said, shifting from the fear vibration into the love, the connection, the unity, the, you know,
And it's
merging with all that is in a place of where there's no limitation. And yeah,
and it's literally cell by cell, cellular knowingness and the DNA and its knowingness
yeah,
and that total remembrance in the body versus a theoretical intellectual understanding.
Mm.
No, we want to know. We're going from the era, the time of the believer into the time of the knower. That's part of
yes,
the
the
deep
embodiment.
shift that we're in.
Yeah.
Because shift has hit the fan of accelerated
Shift's
evolution,
definitely hitting the fan.
and it's shift or get off the planet.
It's true. It's true. Some people don't want to make the shift, so they're going. And that's about
Yeah, we're in deep shift. And that's the first thing I tell people with cancer. It's shift or get off the planet. If we keep doing what we've been doing, we're going to get more of the same result. You got to change.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And we got to quit poisoning ourselves. We got to quit paying for poison. Every dollar is a vote. Every dollar is a vote. What are you voting for? You have accountability. Are you voting for the things that heal the planet? Health is our greatest investment. It's our greatest wealth. If you don't have your health, what do you have? And you can't take the money with you. You can't take the car with you.
That's right. Yeah.
Health is our number one investment. That should be our number one priority, really.
It's the foundation from which everything else flows and everything else is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much again. And just thank you for everything that you do in the world, what you are doing, particularly with the veterans. You know, it's beautiful to hear about that. You know, I do really feel for the soldiers who have been in countless wars across this planet. So it's lovely to feel that you're giving support and sustenance and solutions to them as well. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Please connect with Sandra. You know, she's got amazing products.
Facebook. I post a lot on Facebook.
And, you know, get yourself some solutions. Feel better soon, fast. And please, you know, connect with her websites. And please also, most importantly, share this video with your friends and family so that they have access to this knowledge too. Because knowledge is power, and that will guide us all to a new dawning of a new earth and a new humanity. So from both of us, also from the New Earth University, we send you so much love and healing for transformation on this planet. Thank you for your time and much love.
All around the world to you. All the ways, infinite waves of aloha to everybody. Aloha. And you know, the only thing beyond love, more fully shared love. So you have the energy, let's share, and tell everybody to share. Yeah. Share the knowledge, share the energy, share the love, share the healing. We've got a whole world, lots and lots to share with.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And for everyone watching, share this video and share all the other videos. Sound is one of the most powerful catalysts of our time. And Edgar Casey, the psychic, said, sound will be the medicine of the future, but I truly believe, I'll add to that quote, the future is now.
Yeah, and I sent you a picture. I should have used it in here. A picture of all the crystal bowls in one of our systems. I sent it to you. I think with the price list and stuff or something.
Great.
But there's a picture of all the crystal bowls. We have amazing stories of what happens with crystal bowls in the system.
I want to hear that. Well, we're launching the Heaven on Earth series with Sonic Bowl Alchemy with Amma Sophia. And, you know, as you know, we're going to get one of your systems and we're going to encode those crystal bowls.
Yes.
So every frequency, all my frequency research is going to be broadcasting across the world, amplified by the frequencies, amplified by the crystal, amplifying your bioscalar technology. So it will be going out in those ways as well. So for everyone who feels
transmuting and transforming all the crystalline structures within our bodies and without, within and without. Yeah, as above, so below, every which way.
And we just get this party started, clean up everything, so we can just have a whole new life here. So I'm so excited for that. Yeah.
So many fun ways to play. And if we could play in all the ways we've played on this planet, now how do we want to play?
Yeah.
It's a whole new
Exactly.
world.
Lots of possibilities. Right. Much love.
Aloha.
Aloha.